Joining us now on Pulse of the Maggots, please welcome from Illinois, Shield of Wings. I hope I don't fuck this up. From left to right, we've got James, Aaliyah, Laura, and Alex. Welcome to Pulse of the Maggots. How you guys doing?
Thank you so much.
We're doing good. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think this might be one of the first times we've actually had like one band in one spot. All of the times that we've been doing this because of like the pandemic and all that shit. So glad that you guys are all cozy on the couch together. Wanted to kick things off by asking. So you guys just released Unfinished, your debut album. It was about over a decade in the making for this to come out. What can y'all teach us about perseverance?
James, the wise man. Would you like to?
He's the one
You've got the beard, James. That puts you in the wise man position.
I'm too young to write a wisdom.
All right.
But lessons of perseverance.
Is it worth it?
It is worth it, I think. We'll see in the long run, but.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess take us back, right? Because some of these songs are as new as just like barely a year ago. Some of these songs are a lot longer. So, like, I guess what did it take for like either you personally or you as a band to like work through all of these things and get this from an idea into this is a physical thing now out in the world?
Yeah, that's right. It took a long time. And I think mainly what it took was a lot of life experience. And that kind of translated into the music that's on the album. We took a hiatus in 2012, and until roughly 2018 to 2019, I mean, we started talking about getting back together to formulate this album in 2017, though it didn't start really happening until 2019. But where's I going with that?
It's life experience.
Yeah. A lot of life happened in that time, and it gives you a lot of material to write about if you're writing from your own perspective. So the lyrical content wasn't an issue. And I was writing music that whole time, so I wrote something like 40 something songs in that time period when the band wasn't active. And well, not full songs, but partial.
Sure.
And we picked 10 of those, and that's where you get this album from.
Amazing. What was there ever a point where you felt like just giving up or just like not going forward with that anymore? And if there was, like, how did you keep going? Like, where did you find the drive to just like, nope, we're going to keep doing this?
Mostly outside encouragement, I'd say. I don't have too much confidence in myself all the time, especially when it comes to writing music. And I was doing it just because I liked it. I didn't know if it was ever going to come out. And when we were on hiatus, all the band members were doing their own thing. Our drummer was getting his master's degree. Our bass player at the time was continuing his education. I was trying to move forward in my adult life. And I guess when I met Aaliyah, she encouraged me a lot to persevere and actually polish the songs enough with the band so that we could actually come out with a record. And yeah, so I guess outside encouragement in this instance really helped.
So then, Aaliyah, I'll ask you, like, when you are, hearing James's songs and everything like that, like, what drove you to help drive him?
Well, I just really loved the music, and I felt like if it could help me emotionally, then it could help other people. And because of that, I just felt like it needed to be finished and put out. And also I know from my own perspective, when I was working on my own music in college, it's never fully satisfying until the music is completed. It doesn't feel completed until it's given out to the world in a way.
Too bad it's still unfinished.
Did it?
But
Yeah, we love puns over here.
Yeah, puns are the best. John, it looked like you had another question.
No,
I was
I was
just
going to wait
lost
for
in
you.
the pun
Unless
there for a
Aaliyah
second.
was done, I wasn't sure.
That's the summary. Mm-hmm.
Cori, jump in here.
So, over all of that time period, the different life experiences, meeting new people, bringing new people into the band, how did you guys mesh all of the different ideas that had accumulated over that 10-year time period? Because I mean, I know you're the main songwriter, but then you have Aaliyah, then you have Lara coming in. And so how did you mesh the new with the old on the songs?
Well, that was a concern that the songs wouldn't work because to me at the time, I was listening to these and they sounded very different to me. I didn't know if it was all going to come together. And seemingly it did because people said that this album flowed very nicely, most people. But I mean, I felt that way when I didn't have Laura's voice on it. But when she came into the picture and sang on all the songs, it just like was the glue that held them each together, I think.
Definitely. Like super glue, because Laura, your voice is very, very powerful. You're very, very talented. And I mean, we've commented on the show a few times, like we're really excited to see where your career goes. And vocally, what are some of the inspirations that you like to pull from for your own vocals?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. As far as inspiration, I have kind of like just spent a lot of time over probably like the past 5 or 6 years kind of developing my own sound. But when I was young, I used to sing a lot of like classical music and stuff from the Phantom of the Opera, but also a lot of oldies music like Patsy Cline and stuff like that from that era. And so I think with my style of singing, there's kind of different like delicacies in my voice in ways that I've kind of developed over time. But there's not many people that I like deliberately pull from their style or like listen to them and be like try to recreate that. I kind of just go off what feels right to me.
And definitely in the symphonic like realm of music, an alto voice is exceptionally rare. It's usually a soprano that you hear. And so I really respect the different places that you've pulled from and that you've developed this very unique style very early into your career, because it is so different, especially in symphonic metal.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when I first got in contact with the band, I kind of thought the music was going to be more like the operatic, symphonic metal vocals, but I think it was definitely a unique thing and a new thing for me to hear this style of music with a more lower range vocal predominantly through it. And it also just fits me pretty well too. So
yeah.
I'd like to piggyback off of that, Cori. Thank you for setting this up for me.
Totally unintentional. I have no plan in anything that I do.
It worked. So, Laura, I'm curious. So this band had been going for quite a while when you stepped in, but also at the same time, getting this release out was very much a kind of like a retaking a first step in a lot of ways. So, I guess what has that been like for you stepping into an established band, but that's still getting its footing?
Man, it's been a great time so far, and I feel like honestly, everything fit well for me, and it just feels really good, and it just feels right, and so I'm excited to see where we're gonna take it from here, and with the new songs and anything new that James writes, like how it's going to evolve from there in our sound, and how that will also translate with me singing it. So. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I fit in pretty good. So
Yeah, and I mean, James would agree. He said, that you were the glue that tied everything together. The rug that really ties the room together, I suppose.
Yeah, we have another nice new element over here on the end. This guy is very knowledgeable and probably now the most musically knowledgeable person in the band. So he's a nice asset to have, and he's pretty fresh with us. So he's kind of like an outside perspective almost. He's less biased than we are. When he came in like towards the end of the album making process, his opinions really helped out to make some decisions with like picking singles and stuff. Because we heard the song so damn much, it was like we didn't know what
we were too biased. We developed
attachments
to certain songs,
and we weren't thinking like objectively anymore about what's the right thing to do.
So Alex, I'd love for you to like follow that thread, and like first, how did you guys meet, and how did you guys get together, and what was it like for you coming in and I guess being the Jason Voorhees to all of these innocent like puppy songs that you just have to slash and get rid of them?
Well, we met on a amazing place called Craigslist.com.
Yeah.
I've actually joined 3 or 4 different bands from Craigslist over the last 10 years, and you can really meet some cool people on there if you're persistent and know what to look for. But yeah, so I came in last year after all the songs were written, almost everything was recorded. I did 1 session of background vocals, and James just sent me like a bunch of like 10 to 20 second clips of like where they needed a male background vocal. And so I came into the studio and I did these little clips, but I didn't know what songs they were from or where they all fit in. So when I got the final mixes, I was like, oh, that's where that was. Yeah. So whenever we had these sessions of like, what's the single going to be? What should the album order be? I was like hearing the songs for the first time. So I think, like he said, I could offer an outsider's perspective and say, as a fan, I think this. Because I didn't record the bass parts on the album. I came in after that, so I had a sort of a fresh perspective.
Yeah, and sometimes that's incredibly important. Cori, did you have anything to follow that up with?
No, I was gonna change gears like entirely. So if you wanted to,
please
if you have a follow up, go for it.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
you do your thing.
So the balance of the vocals between you, Aaliyah, and you, Lara. Is it Lara or Lara? I'm probably going to be butchering this. So which one is it?
It's okay. It's Lara.
Lara. Okay. Sorry. Like my name's Corinne. Everybody says it wrong. So I try to actually say people's names right. So when it comes to the vocals on the album, you both have very different styles. Aaliyah, you sing in 2 different styles yourself. How do you decide which pieces of the lyrics get which vocals, if that makes sense?
I don't even know if we didn't really decide that. It's kind of determined ahead of time based on the music that's happening behind the vocal. Most people who are in a band will know that certain riff styles or drum rhythms or just the music behind the vocal kind of determines whether it should be a harsh vocal or clean vocal. And then there's also the ornamental stuff that I did in like Native Colossus, but that was just, it's all determined based on the aesthetic of the song and the feel of the song and the part that the vocals are going over. Was that?
Yeah, and a lot of the harmonies that you did were kind of just born from the harmonies that were already written into the orchestral parts. So.
Oh yeah, the harmonies. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I was just listening to the demos and just singing along in the car, trying to come up with as many harmonies as possible, and then we cut them later if they didn't go.
John, do you have a follow up on that one?
No, not on that one.
Okay. Well, you can have the next question then.
Cool. I was reading a couple of things in as far as like y'all doing a lot of this through Kickstarter and everything like that. I'm curious on how that experience went for you. Is that something that you guys would do again? Curious on the story there.
We went through Kickstarter in a little bit of a different way than bands usually do. We had already paid for the production of the album. It was already finished. We didn't have to go through Kickstarter, but I like the community aspect of it. I like the progress bar, you know? And so, yeah, we had ended up just doing our pre-orders through Kickstarter. Now, I don't know if I would do it that way again with such a tight timeline, because our Kickstarter ended a week before the album released. So it didn't have a lot of time to get people's like shirt sizes. We ran out of some sizes, so some people have to wait for their orders until we can order more shirts. This is the timing aspect of it. I don't think I would do it that way with such a tight timeline. But generally the way that bands use it is they will use a Kickstarter months before their album comes out, like 3 months before. And I think that that works really well. And I do like the community aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially in this day and age, and especially the last couple of years when there have been both like zero opportunities to engage with like bands, and also all of the opportunities in the world now that like everything's gone digital. Switching gears just a little bit, like this music very much like, I think y'all have described it as epic symphonic metal. I think that's like hits the nail right on the head. There's a lot of like cinematic elements to this. There's a lot of like fantastical elements to it, and just, you know, Leah, we talked one time when we were playing, like you just want to like grab a broadsword and just swing it around like willy-nilly. I'm curious for all four of you, and I'm sure that this is a different answer, and maybe it's an obvious one, but what about that, you know, cinematic soundscape and epic storytelling like appeals to you to go ahead and create this landscape that y'all have done? We can start with Alex first. I'll take the deciding away. Alex, you start, and we'll go from right to left.
It's an emotional thing, I guess. Like the metal aspect of it kind of gives you like a powerful feeling, I would say. Like I sort of got into that style in high school when Dragon Force came out with In the Fire and Flames, Through the Fire and Flames, and went into Camelot and sort of the more power metal side. And I studied music education in college, so I learned a lot of like classical music stuff there too. So I was listening to a lot of like symphonic, like real symphonic music there. And so both of those things have always existed for me, and the combination of them is kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing for me too. Both metal and classical music, and have just been like big parts of my life throughout my entire life. So having the combination of those things is really like, yeah, the best of both worlds. And I think that there's something about, especially some of the orchestrations in the songs that really just like get me right in the heart, you know, and it's just like that feeling like you're on a roller coaster, and it's just like, oh, you know, it's an amazing feeling. And for like music to be able to do that to you, it's just really magical and awesome.
It's the best.
Yeah. That's why we do it, I think.
Yeah. I definitely feel like the symphonic metal is almost one of the biggest sounding branches of metal, because it has all the orchestral elements and the metal instrumentation. It has the potential to be the most large sounding, most and transportational in a way. It can make you feel so many different emotions. And yeah, I haven't been like super nerdy about getting into classical music, but I definitely had an appreciation for it when I was younger, and also film scores. And so, yeah, for whatever reason, when I first heard symphonic elements combined with metal elements, which I believe was No Leaf Clover by Metallica, the first time I heard those two elements combined, it was just, I was like, this is it for me. This is the music that I love the most.
Me. I guess
all this time to think about it.
Yeah.
I was listening to you guys.
He was captivated by your guys' answers.
Yeah. I guess film music was probably my first crush, if you will, or first lust, love, whatever you want to call it.
Since it's Valentine's
I
Day.
didn't have the cool older brother to show me Metallica, and my first memories hearing film music was like watching Braveheart as a kid, or The Lion King, or specifically The Rock, the score from The Rock by Hans Zimmer. And I remember just being like lit up with energy and jumping around the living room, off the couch. And it wasn't until later when I heard, Nightwish when I was in high school, I realized that, oh man, you can put the two together. I started listening to metal when I was like in middle school. And then when I heard Nightwish, Dimmu Borgir with symphonic metal, and though Children of Bodom isn't a symphonic metal band, they're a melodic death metal with heavy melodic influence on top of very aggressive metal. And when I heard those bands, I was like, oh man, this is something I want to try. So yeah, I guess that's my story.
Yeah, Cori and I are both just ecstatic for you to bring up Children of Bodom. We would bring them up every minute if we could. I think that's fantastic. And like you can see that comes across both in when y'all are speaking and in the music as well, that passion that you guys have for all of that. Cori, I'm going to turn things over to you.
All right. Well, I am again changing gears a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about the artwork because I am super in love with this album cover. And I just wanted to hear a little bit about the thought process and the story behind the artwork, because the music itself is its own story. But what went into creating the cover for the album?
Not conscious thought initially. It was just, this is going to sound weird, but
It's okay. I'm always weird.
Yeah, confirmed.
The image of what's on the album cover just came to me, and I jotted it down on a sticky note, and I was like, Aaliyah, can you help me Photoshop this into a more refined image? Because I'd like somebody to paint it. And we ended up finding Maximos Manolis, a Greek classically trained oil painter.
He did the artwork for Rotting Christ's Heretics.
Yeah. So we contacted him and asked if he'd be interested in drawing this for us, painting it, sorry. And he nailed it. He took that rough draft we made very precisely.
Oh, it's a very funny Photoshop as well. I just like Googled some people doing like yoga poses and like.
So if I knew he was going to, pay such fine attention to the details of that rough draft, we might have refined it a bit more. But I guess in the end, it didn't matter because he nailed it, and it's a beautiful piece. I love it. I was concerned actually that might not be the best for marketing the album, but ultimately I don't care because that's what I want it to be. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it falls within the realm of what you typically see on female-fronted symphonic metal album art, but
that's why I loved it. It was different. It wasn't what you would expect, and that's why it stuck out. So, in my opinion, and I've worked in marketing for longer than I want to say, that makes it great for marketing because it stands out so much against all of the other symphonic metal bands that have very cliche covers. And it's actually interesting that you brought up that same artist that did the Heretics cover, because that was one of my favorite albums of 2020, and you can almost feel that level of like darkness in the artwork that is it's an interesting juxtaposition to have this darkness in the cover with this sound that is so grand and empowering.
Yeah, it's like like a fairy tale that is going to end very, very, very badly.
You mean like all of them? They all end badly.
Not all.
Not the Disney ones, but the real ones all end badly.
Traditionally, yeah.
Rose Tales of Ray Graham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so. Cori, do you mind if I ask my final question before you ask your final question?
You may
Unless
ask
you
your
have
final
more, I don't
question,
know.
and then no, go ahead. You ask your final question, and then I will ask the most important question of the entire interview.
And now they're sweating. No, so I'm just curious on. Album is out. You guys are just starting this journey. Really, like it already has been a long journey, but now next chapter of this journey starts. What do y'all want to happen next for Shield of Wings, and like where do y'all want to take this?
I think our main thing is just getting more music out there and then prepping for live. We really want to get on stage and just experience that all together. So we're hoping to be able to do some shows by around the summertime. And then also shooting more music videos is our other priority in the next few coming months or span of time that's going to happen.
James, what about you? Now that you've got this out there, are you gonna, I guess, start from scratch from here on out? Do you have other ideas that are in the hopper that you can use? What do you think goes next?
I have plenty of ideas, and like I said, I wrote a lot of music in that hiatus, so some of it will probably never make its way out there into the world, but we're definitely planning to pull some of the songs that didn't make it onto the album, hence the name Unfinished. It was an unfinished album because we cut some songs. So those may or may not be on our next musical release. But right now, Laura already said it. We'd like to do some more promotion of this album and hopefully shoot some more videos. That's the next step.
Hell yeah. And we are all looking forward to it. Cori, most important question that they will ever hear in their entire lives.
In your entire life, the most important thing, what are y'all's favorite dinosaur? Aaliyah's just like super irritated with me right now.
I can't believe I didn't prepare for this question.
You are in the chat every week. You knew this was coming.
You could also see the realization when it was coming that she was like, fuck.
I forgot the dinosaur question.
I can relate to the Velociraptors. I always loved Jurassic Park, the guy that wants to hunt the Velociraptor, and then they turn the tables on him at the end, and he goes,
"Clever girl."
Before he gets eaten. That's my favorite scene.
Yeah.
For me, I like those. What are the long necks called?
Brontosaurus?
Yeah. I like
Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus. There's a few of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a big dinosaur expert. I'm sorry, but I feel like the long neck guys, they just seem like they'd be really sweet dinos. And you can just like ride them and stuff.
Funny aside, you have the same favorite dinosaur as Barney Greenway of Napalm Death.
Okay.
Well, in the interest of not copying Laura, and also I feel like my favorites changed lately. I used to be really into the Brontosaurus, but recently I've been really into that, I don't know the name, the one that flips out the neck and sprays the venom.
Frick. What is it called? Dilophosaurus, yes.
Yeah.
Very metal choice.
Yeah. It feels
very metal choice.
Doing the harsh vocals and like, yeah.
Oh man. Well, I don't know if I have a favorite, but if I had to pick a favorite, I guess Triceratops. I'm not that well acquainted with other dinosaurs, though I was already labeled one by my buddy who's very into dinosaurs. Shout out Dave Dubenik of the band Desona.
Oh yes.
He's a big dinosaur fan,
He is a huge dinosaur.
and he told me I look like a specific one that has a bulbous head with little like horny points around it. So,
is that the one that charges, right?
Yeah, that's the one that rams its head into stuff. Yeah.
Probably that one. So.
Hell yeah. Well, now y'all can relax, and you have until our next interview to rethink and to, get up on dinosaurs. Y'all, Shield of Wings, their album Unfinished, is out now. Go pick it up. Go listen to it. It's fantastic. Y'all, congratulations on the release, and I hope it brings you a lot of success, and I hope that you guys get to tour and play shows sometime soon and get that music out there again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, I'm going to go to a screen for just a video, get that playing, and then Cori and I will be back in just a little bit. So thanks again to Shield of Wings, y'all.